Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this broadcast may be finding you. Welcome to our latest Skype for Business broadcast. My name is Jamie Stark. I look after voice in the Skype for Business marketing organization.
My name is Sean Wilson. I'm responsible for IT Pro and deployment. And we are here today to talk about advanced analytics. Now, the funny story.
Don't get scared. It's cool. It's all good. It's safe.
It is our catchphrase at Microsoft, advanced analytics, across every workload, right? I know that we had promised you Dan Babb this morning. Jamie is standing in his place due to illness. So Dan,
happy to be here though. Happy to be here. And all the analytics and all the work that we've been doing in the last few years with regards to getting more data and putting intelligence around that data around all your media sessions is super important for everything that we're doing with cloud PBX and PSTN calling. And so this is an area that is absolutely near and dear to my heart. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Now, the one thing that we always forget, Bing Pulse and the Q&A manager. So you've got the opportunity to get information and ask us questions. At the same point, we've got a Pulse where we ask you for feedback and questions as we go through this. It's helpful for us to be able to kind of gauge what information you want us to be able to provide for you. So
in the hour prior to our broadcast, we're always thinking very deeply about the survey questions that we have out on Bing Pulse. We always want to get more information from our audience, and so please don't hesitate to participate in those. We really do find it valuable. And then, of course, if there are questions that you've got, we want to be able to, answer them in real time or answer them asynchronously out on the Tech Communities Forum. And so with that, hey, we've been on this journey for a while, right? I mean, obviously, kind of, back in the day with the server product, we had, the basics of kind of call detail records and being able to see kind of from a signaling perspective, what's going on in the server. We have that obviously going on in the service, but we also, because this is all packet media, we want to know about the quality of the media sessions too, right?
Yeah, and if you think back, if we go back to when it was server, we were able to build reporting that actually was able to give a lot of very detailed elements of all parts of server function and role and join time and all this, because at that point you were managing your own ecosystem. We, as being Skype for Business Online, you have to take a little bit of a step back because you're now dealing with this at a multi-tenant layer, right? And the data is exponentially larger. Now, back in the day when you had QoE and CDR.
Okay, wait. So CDRs, I think folks are aware, called detail records. QoE is
quality of experience, and so this is the soft and gooey part of a call. So if you think of a call detail record, start, finish, duration, who was in it,
all
right?
the signaling, right.
And if you think of the quality of experience, it has things like the network elements of MOS and jitter and packet loss, but it also has other things like send, listen, MOS, right? So it gives us a lot of details in the actual session that actually around audio and video and app sharing and all the different components that live there, from devices that are used to things like that. And we're going to show you a little bit of what that looks like as it's evolved into the cloud.
And so, for those of you that don't know, every component in the Skype for Business architecture that deals with media sends a report up to a central repository of all the different pieces of data that Sean was talking about. And we've been doing this for a while. So essentially what's happening is the client and the MCUs that manage the conference, they're collecting all of this data. They're going, well, how good was the media quality? And we use the mean opinion score. That's a standard. We call it MOS. We use that to determine, well, was the quality just okay? Was the quality, acceptable? Was the quality excellent, right? Yeah, absolutely. And so all of that with network information, driver information, and device information, all that is captured down, squeezed down into a package. At the end of the call, we ship that off to a central repository. And so now, oh my goodness, we have so much data to be able to work with and to be able to kind of understand the very kind of finite, infinite level of detail around a call, right?
Yeah. And if you take that same infinite amount of detail, it used to require extreme SQL query experience to take that and extract it if you wanted custom reporting out of the databases for call detail records.
And of course, everyone loves writing reports, right? Oh wait, no.
No. So that morphed actually into a joint venture between Microsoft IT and the media team within Skype for Business to actually build out originally on-prem CQD, as we like to refer to it, or the call quality dashboard. Now, the reason that this was key was because we were now moving to an era where people were moving from wired on every single connection to wireless. We were now moving to devices like what's sitting on my laptop that has, no Ethernet port on it, right?
I literally have no wires today.
No wires, that's right. You're completely wireless. And so you started to see some of these things that were impacting, especially things where buildings hadn't been built for wireless for voice. They've been built for data, right?
Yeah, we've talked about this in other shows where like we've talked about like wireless call quality and how it's kind of a bad idea to put your radio, your wireless access point, between giant rafters or between HVAC, because effectively you're putting it into a little Faraday cage.
Right?
It's not very optimal for RF, right? Yeah. That just doesn't work very effectively.
Yeah, so as we kind of came into this and we started to take a look at the data that we got from the call quality dashboard, we were now able to start to really drill down into some things, drill down into building specific information. We were able to drive into information for wired and wireless. Now, everybody that's on the call, we are going to do some serious demos of some new stuff. So you're going to want to stick around because we're actually going to do two pieces. We're going to talk about call quality dashboard. We're going to talk about and how you can aggregate that. We're also going to talk a little bit about what's coming in the future around call analytics. So we want to make sure, because as you think about this and you think about how you want to continue to improve your service, it might be network, it might be headsets, it might be, it could be a building in a specific subnet that has one issue that's creating noise within your.
Yeah, you got to think about end-to-end signal flow, right? I remember an audio recording class I took in college. This is the one thing that the teacher just always pounded into us when we would try to pot up an amplifier or pot up a microphone. And it wouldn't work. We're like, I don't understand. Why isn't it plugged in? He goes, no, you got to think about end-to-end signal flow. Take the microphone, go to the wire, it's plugged into the wall, or is it coming into the board? How is it set up in the board? And it's the same fundamental property we got to think about, right? From my mouth into the headset, down into the workstation, through the USB stack, into the media stack. Like, think about all of those pieces end to end. And CQD, the call quality dashboard, really, brings that to life. The kind of coolness of it is that you got all this amazing data. One of the things that we know we've needed to expand on for a while is really how to make that actionable, right? Yeah. So in our demos today, we're going to kind of do two pieces. So first, Sean's going to go through and talk about the call quality dashboard and what we've had today, and for a while now in Skype for Business Online and Office 365, we've had this capability up and running. Now we've got some new sauce. Now we've got some new goodness that's coming up here, and then after that, I'm out, and then Troy's going to come in, one of our engineers, and he's going to show some of the great new stuff that we've got going on with the call analytics and the help desk, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool. So just another little shout out. Remember, Pulse is here, Q&A is here. Feed us with questions. Make sure to reply to this stuff as we're going along.
Excellent. So first thing, one of the things I want to talk about, we're going to talk a little bit about how MSIT specifically used CQD. And then how that has actually morphed into some of the new reports we've actually had there. And I'm going to demo that for you today. And it's awesome. So when I was in MSIT 2.5 years ago, long time ago in IT days, a lot's happened and a lot of different scenarios. And one of the challenges they had was in one of the offices in Shinagawa, they actually had these reports of port calls, but they couldn't drill it in. They would get intermittent tickets on it, but it wasn't systematic for the whole location.
Anyone who's worked help desk, right? Like, or worked in IT, these, kind of weird, spurious, we're getting reports from these users. We try to replicate it. We can't really figure out what's going on. Like, these are some of the more squirrely kind of issues that, regardless of the product, regardless if you're doing packet media or whether you're doing whatever else, these squirrely issues are always really hard to try to root cause, right?
Yeah. And so when we went and we were able to look at it, we were able to, with call quality dashboard, dive in, build a custom report for that location, and really dive in not only at the subnet level, but also look at things like the radios and look at what signal, or not only the radios, but also, what band were they using, what channel were they on, and starting to look at that data to really help us do it. And it helped us actually identify an issue actually within one of the AP areas that in functionality was similar to like a Faraday cage. It had been put in a place where it was getting cross-channel interference. And we were able to then go to the networking team, because we've never had to go to the networking team and tell them that, something's not right in their space. But we were able to go with data. And so we'll show a little bit about what that looks like. But I think we really are about to get into demo. But the reason that I want to talk about that is the challenge has always been with call quality dashboard is you had to go and build these custom reports. Now, you always had the ability to upload your subnet masks or your subnets into online as well as on-prem.
So hold on. So why is it important to take my network topology and get that into online? Like that's a jump a little bit. That I want to make sure.
Trivia question.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
It's trivia question. When you have a call,
I'm worried.
In Skype for Business Online.
Sean can ask difficult trivia questions. Okay. A call, Skype for Business Online. Go ahead.
Okay. Is the call going to automatically be flagged inside your network or outside your network?
Well, I hope it's not inside your network, because if it's inside your network, then it means you're standing inside of our highly secure Office 365 data centers, and that would be horrifying.
Yeah.
No one is supposed to be there. Like, so, that is, few humans ever should be inside that network segment.
Exactly.
If ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything's external. With
shows up in a flag. And so if we go back to the old days of QoE, the flags were based on your data center. So inside was in your network, right? When you go to the cloud, that same piece would flag everything as external. But what happens is your ability to upload those subnets within call quality dashboard allows you to now map it to your building.
Got it. So now I can go, oh, I see. We own these subnets internally. When calls are happening within our tenant that's against this network range, flag this as internal because it's inside of our network. Flag stuff that is external with different subnet ranges as folks coming in from Starbucks, folks coming in from their house, that sort of thing.
Totally.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but when you did that, you would have to go and build basically off this cube in this dashboard. You'd have to build your custom reports. And one of the things MSIT did was they said, hey, I want to be able to see all my buildings at once. I want to be able to drill in at a building level without having to build these. And so what they did is they actually worked with our engineering team and media to create what we call location enhanced reporting.
Love it.
And so I'm going to demo that today. Now, here is the really big news. It's in production.
Wait. Whoa. No, by production you mean it's in preview, folks can sign up.
Nope. We continually have been iterative on call quality dashboard.
Yeah.
These location enhanced reports exist today in our full production environment.
That's fantastic. Excellent. Very, very cool. So you have a tenant today, you're running media with Skype for Business and Office 365. You should do this.
Yep.
You should go and watch this demo, go and check this stuff out, and then implement the stuff. This is key to ensuring you've got an operational process that's always looking at quality, that's always iterating on it, that's always looking to improve and find the little areas where you can ensure you've got great call quality for all of your users, regardless of where they are.
Yep.
Yeah. Excellent.
So I think it's demo time.
Oh, well, that's okay. I'm going to switch you over. Let's go check out. So check out Sean's desktop here.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yep.
There we go.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through call quality dashboard. Some of you are probably very familiar with it. Some of you probably aren't as familiar with it. So I'm going to give you a couple of key background pieces to this. What you can see at the top is our overall call quality. At the other element of this, you see up here server to client versus client to client. And I want to talk about that. Server to client is any conference call, right? Because it's going to go from my client to the Skype for Business MCU or the Skype for Business online server for the meeting portion. Client to client is obviously peer to peer. Now, the reason this is important is in the next one, this is the best way this is the best way that people are able to, this is the best way for us to help people identify what their call quality is in a building, because we know that the server is accurate.
Right.
We know that the server is accurate. We know that the client to server leg is the most that we can count on, because one is a managed endpoint, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So as I look at this and I look at client server, I can go in and I can drill in and I can actually edit and change these. And you can see this where it says wired inside up here in the left. Obviously, we've uploaded our subnet masks or our subnet database for our locations, and so therefore it's been able to pull it off.
So actually there's a really interesting question that came up here. How do we differentiate the IP networks if employees have the same IP range at home? Is there so if you're in the office and you're running 192.168.xx in the office,
Yeah.
you know, I have that same subnet range at my house, my own little network that I run.
This is something that customers have to take into account.
Got it.
There's no way, I mean, they're typically though, most companies of larger sizes will have a full range of a subnet.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
And so your typical 10.0.0.1 on your Netgear router at home is probably not going to pick up much of your subnet within your corporate ecosystem.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So don't use. So the advice is don't use 192. Don't use 10x. Use a
or if you're using 10x, don't use a range of full.
Don't
10x,
use the whole /8, right?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about what's important in this. Great, we've got great information. It tells me wired inside. One of the things it also does is it then allows me to not only look at my subnets, obviously there's the 10x that we were talking about, right? But it also gives us the ability to then go and look at the different buildings. And so you have the ability from just a quick snapshot, take a look. And so, hey, let's say I want the most good calls, okay? This is where I get to go and see who has the most good calls and figure out, hey, maybe that's my gold config, right? In the wired inside. And by the way, remember, wired is always going to have a much better, it should have a much better, because you don't have the interference between you and the radio.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
As I come down though, if I come Wi-Fi inside and it builds this report for me, I'm going to be able to see not only my monthly trends, I'll be able to see those inside subnets just like we were seeing before.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Okay, so this is great. I can see my subnets like we were looking before. I can see my buildings and how they're pulled together. Now, one of the things though is that I want to be able to really drill down into this at a building level. So let's go take a look. Up here you'll see location enhanced reports. Okay. Now the location enhanced reports really are just that. They give us the ability to filter. We can filter by building. And one of the things I'm going to call out, see how this says second building name?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay? That could be confusing, except your first building is the Office 365 data center. Right? Because it's server to client. Right?
Yep.
So at this point, let's pull up building 1. That's our building, right?
That's our building.
And so with this in a quick snapshot's great because it gives me, hey, client to server, client to client, inside to outside, inside to inside, right? So I can start to see, hey, maybe I've got an aggregation issue.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But,
is the aggregation router that's running in the building, is that a source of contention, or is the source of contention going over to the WAN, or is the source of contention local, right?
Yeah.
So like if you see a bunch of bad calls for all the inside to inside traffic, right? If it's me calling you or me calling another colleague, and that's bad. Well, that's likely something's going on inside your plant. If it's going to folks that are outside the building, well, and then you got to look again. Think about the signal flow. Think about all the network elements end to end, right?
Yep. And so one of the pieces that I wanted to kind of showcase here is that if you look at us for the last 3 months in building 1, we've actually seen a performance improvement over Wi-Fi as well as wired. One of the big reasons that we take a look at November and January is because half of December, nobody's in the office.
Yeah, December's a little goofy.
It's very goofy. But if you see, one of the things that we get is we also at that point are noticing that we're actually seeing it as we've now made AP improvements. We're constantly tweaking.
Yep.
We're able to see that.
I can literally look at the radios that are around here, and I know that we just went through a process a couple months ago to flip out all the radios, to go to AC, level wireless. Yep.
And they're able to then drill in and actually look at this data. Now, let's look at what that looks like, though, specifically for this building. So if I come into this, I can see call volumes across my ecosystem. I can see my Wi-Fi band. I can also see my radio type, right? So
nice. You can actually see how well the radios are pushing devices up into the 5 gig band, because that's key, right? Because 2.4 is just a mess. Like everything in its mother is running against 2.4.
Well,
most of the devices that we've got today can connect onto 5. And the difference is, of course, propagation of the same amount of RF, right? So if I put the same amount of power into a 5 gig, it's going to go shorter distance than 2.4, but 5 has so much more bandwidth there that is not nearly as busy.
And totally, if we take a look at this, then I can go and look, oh, by the way, look at my poor call percentages on that 2.4 gig, right? Versus, and these are this gives me the channels, like which channels are saturated, right? And so because all this lives in that data, right? And then if I come back down here and I say, hey, by the way, I also want to verify what do I have a card that tends to be causing me troubles, like a version for the driver issues. I can look at that. But also you can look at your client versions, right? So, at Microsoft, one of my favorite jokes is most companies have 3 to 4 versions running. At our peak, I think we had over 200, including dev builds. So you could actually look, hey, are we seeing quality performances there? My personal favorite. What is our number one audio capture device?
Oh, it's got to be the laptop. It's got to be the native
microphone array, right?
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
But you can also see, our next highest is then the Plantronics BT600.
Yay! People are actually using their devices. Thank you, Building 1.
Yeah, exactly. So it gives us the ability to then maybe do a service improvement plan or an awareness program around headsets and things like that. Right?
Absolutely.
So as we kind of get into this, one of the pieces that you want to be able to do is this is great. I can go in and I can look at buildings and I can see the data that's there, what's classified as good and poor and call volumes. I can look at PSTN versus my conferences and things like that. But one of the important things is what happens when you get to the point where I need to now start troubleshooting an end user. So I'm actually going to bring Troy into this call. Troy Funk, who is our colleague in the engineering team. He's responsible for what we've been talking about as advanced analytics. Specifically today, we're going to talk about the call analytics and the help desk scenario, because we've never gotten a call at help desk and not been able to answer it, right?
Right, never.
Hey, so I had this bad call and I think Skype for Business is problematic. And we know that when we're on a call, the people that receive the poor call are not necessarily the ones that are creating the poor call.
Right. And Sean, what we were talking about with the call quality dashboard, all systemic issues, things that we can kind of take a look at and optimize our deployments for. When we look at kind of more specifics on a call-by-call basis, there's so many ways that can contribute to a call not really working out.
Totally.
And so one of the things we wanted to do is help desk personnel be able to drive in and drill down into those calls, see really what really happened. Because in many instances, it could be just as simple as I'm using my onboard microphone and speakers. I don't understand. Why isn't that working really well for me?
Or somebody that's in the call that's poor is sitting at home on their back deck on Wi-Fi on a 2.4 gig on a right? Like the ability to look at the network and that is important because it helps us to solve problems quickly.
It is the issue with me, who's calling the help desk, is the issue with someone else. What are all those factors? And so by visualizing that for help desk, showing them that insight, we can kind of help address those issues much faster, and really ensure that people understand what's causing those issues.
Yeah, excellent. So what I would like to do is kind of drop in, and we're going to do a demo real quick to show you the help desk function that is going to come out in preview. Now, The call quality dashboard, the stuff I showed you a minute ago, it is live. You can use it in Office 365 and be able to take care of it and utilize it. The call analytics that we're about to show you is coming up in preview. So our call to action, go to skypepreview.com, sign up for the call analytics preview. We'll see it in the next little while. And the first scenario that we're going to enable is going to be the help desk scenario, because it's one that's very important. And it's also a pain point for IT shops. Root cause analysis, engineers being able to go and dive into data, they're used to doing that. Help desk being able to solve a problem quickly has always been problematic. So let's hop into that demo and let you do it.
Absolutely.
And just give it a second, and you should be live right now.
All right.
Actually.
So Sean, I get a help desk call, and we'll say that I'm calling the help desk.
Okay.
I'm really upset. I just had a meeting. It didn't work out very well. And so
you're logged in as a help desk tech, right?
And so this I'm logged in as a help desk technician. I have actually a specific help desk role that we offer in Office 365, and we'll explain a little bit why that's so important. So I can actually type in my name here, and it will resolve.
As the demo gods are here watching us.
So let's say I did that, and this is preview software, as we already indicated. So I'm able to actually drill down into a specific call. So this call was a couple days ago. This is a real call. This is real data, by the way.
Yep.
I'm able to take a look at my portion of the call that started at 1:59 p.m. on Pacific time.
Hey, wait a second. I see other things there that say internal users.
Yeah.
What's
So
that mean?
those are for help desk personnel. What we wanted to do is expose that information, but not necessarily expose the actual individual names of everyone who's on the call. That's not
so
necessary.
like if you were on a call with Satya, right?
Sure,
We might
CEO,
not want a CEO.
it's not relevant. Right.
Yeah, we want to help
Now,
you in your call.
I can still see that data, but I just can't see their names. So if I was to look at my portion of the call, it can say, it can indicate that I'm the receiver is the Skype service, because this is a meeting.
Yep.
So, and I can actually drill down. Okay, everything's green, which means based on our analysis of the quality of the QoE data, that everything was fine on my end.
And you can actually see that different information, right?
Yeah, so I was using a Jabra UC voice headset for both audio capture and render. I can check in and look at the system. So this is my desktop machine that I was actually logged into. So it was likely a wired connection. And
that'll show that'll show the client you're also running.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. So I'm running version 16 of the Skype for Business client.
Okay, excellent. So
I can take a look at the network and really drill into on network jitter, round trip, all this information, rich information, really provided in kind of an easy way to understand. Now, what we've done for help desk, we don't expect help desk people to know what every single one of these things mean tier one. But what we do want to do is highlight any issues that pop up. So if I look at this other user, and this meeting was indicated to be a poor call quality.
And so one of the pieces that tends to happen when we deal with meetings and help desk is, as I said, the poor call might not necessarily be the person that is calling you because they're receiving a poor call experience, right? And so this is an opportunity to say, hey, by the way, the poor call experience actually lived within potentially somebody else, because your stuff actually was good. Thank you for wiring in and joining from a rich client, et cetera.
Yeah, and so this individual, they were also using Jabra, but they had some mic glitch, and we were able to tell that there was an issue there. We also can look at the network, and there was some issues with inbound average packet loss. If we actually look at some of the other users, we can actually see and kind of roll through, okay, what other problems occurred? And so this really allows you to go through and diagnose what are the issues, what are the pain points on the call, what caused these problems, and then identify if there's any remediation that needs to happen, right? What kind of issues do we need to deal with?
Excellent. So what you're saying is if I've got call quality dashboard, I can aggregate and I can look at like my ecosystem and systemic potential issues. I can drill those down into buildings based on that, and I can do that. But at the individual user level, this allows from Skype for Business online, it now allows an IT shop to truly drill in at an individual user level.
Absolutely. And so you're able to look at call by call, what are the issues? You can actually, if if you're an IT organization and you have an executive that calls you up and says, I just had a lousy call, what's like, you guys aren't doing your job, you can actually go and figure out, no, actually, that wasn't the case. It was because the person you were talking to is hanging out on their back porch drinking wine and and is out of range on wireless. And so that kind of empowerment allows you to then specifically diagnose and address issues as they come up.
So that's great if I'm at tier 1 help desk to be able to see this. As an administrator or tier 3 engineer, will I be able to, I'll have greater ability to see who was involved and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely. So if you have the right privileges, we'll actually expose all of the names on the call.
Excellent.
So you won't see internal user or external user. We'll identify those people if they're not inside your organization. So we'll be optimizing for more of a tier 3 or a IT escalation path to be able to address those.
Perfect. Issues. Now, as you guys have probably seen through Ignite and Enterprise Connect last year, we've talked about this advanced analytics and call analytics capabilities, specifically around what we're doing within Skype for Business. This will be the first phase that we launch in our preview program for people to really take advantage of what it means to drill into the calls. We will be integrating and aggregating some additional reports and meetings as we get closer to GA.
Absolutely. So part of what we're doing right now is we're beginning to roll this out to a small set of customers over the next few months. We'll be opening up preview and then ramping up our customer base there, getting feedback, and then we'll provide general availability later this year. But the focus of this right now is really to help the help desk personnel. The next portions that we're working on is what kind of information can we glean from this kind of data to then help you address issues more systemically as well.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, this is actually this is one of those pieces that when you move to the cloud, you want to be able to take advantage of the power of big data and how do we visualize it and how do we aggregate it. And it's actually a difficult thing to do because part of this is we need to make sure that you as a tenant own just your data. We need to understand that at the same point when we can aggregate it in a way so that it's so that you can look at it, but it doesn't expose that. And it also is a data processing piece, right? So
it's a lot of information to process. And so one of the things we're trying to do is make sure that this information it gets to the dashboard as quickly as possible, because we know that your people who have call quality issues, they're going to hang up the phone after a bad call, and then they're going to call help desk or email help desk or chat with help desk. And so we want to make sure that information is near real time.
Yeah.
And so we collect the quality of environment data as right immediately after the call ends, and then within a couple minutes it's actually into our system and visualized here.
Excellent. Well, so we've talked a lot today. Jamie and I started with like the history of QoE and what that means and how that morphed into a project between MSIT and the media team. We've now gone and done a demo and talked a little bit about that. We do have some questions that we were seeing there that we will actually post in the tech community afterwards. We will update. One of the ones that people were asking, is there a way to correlate poor call stats and call failure stats per location? And so one of the things in the call quality dashboard is you can actually, it's going to only expose the QoE. We don't currently expose the CDR data, which would be your call failure codes, right?
Sure.
But one of the pieces that we will continue to do is really as we expand on what our capabilities are within call analytics and this, we will continue to expand on what those specific call failure rates are, like specific codes that are tied. Is it a mid-call failure or whatever, right? W root cause. But with that, Troy, I'm glad you got a chance to come and join us. We came in product group a few months ago, and but I really appreciate the time that you spent and everybody that's joined us. Our next session is actually going to be, I'm going to bring it up right here for you, is actually going to be this is the advanced analytics session. The next session we're going to do for our buddy James Kay is going to come and talk about the app SDK on February 10th. And in the meantime, go to skypepreview.com. You can click on the link in the top right corner. Make sure you continue to finish out the pulse to give us our feedback, because we want you to make sure you get a chance to sign in and sign up for that preview to get a call analytics going. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.